Upon the world of Satyrian, where over 80% of its surface is covered by enormous oceans, the control of the few lands was often decided by furious naval wars. Colonised during the Age of Strife, Satyrian fell into a worldwide civil war when the central government wasn't capable of maintaining power during that time of isolation. This period, called the Great Storm, lasted for millennia, while dozens of newborn nations and pirates fought each other on the deep oceans of Satyrian. The insular country of Venice was the first which used soldiers specifically trained for special operations against enemy ships. These men, simply known as frogmen, were grouped into the Command Underwater Raiders, founded by Junio Tesei, a veteran captain of the Venice Navy. During the war, the frogmen became more and more feared for their ability to sneak into fortified harbours and bays and sabotage enemy vessels. Soon after, the other nations of the planet started to copy this concept, training and using their version of the frogmen for similar purposes. Discovered during the Great Crusade, Satyrian was quickly reintegrated into the Imperium by the War Master Horus Lupercal and his brother Corvus Corax. Corax in particular found himself quite impressed by the silent and efficient tactics and skills of the Venice frogmen, and decided to push for the creation of an Imperial Guard regiment alongside the normal planetary defence force called the Satyrian Raiders, which was successfully organised and fought alongside the Imperium during the rest of the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy. After that, the positive relationship between the planet and the Raven Guard lasted for millennia until this very day. Nowadays, the Satyrian Raiders is a well-known regiment of the Astra Militarum, with a focus on shock attacks, sabotage, and special operations. Due to their specific purpose, the training for becoming a raider is much more specific and harsh than a regular guardsman. In fact, the recruits are chosen between the best conscripts of the Planetary Defence Force and subjected to 1-year training in the field and underwater operations. This specialisation allows the regiment to have access to better equipment than regular guardsmen, at a cost to an inferior number of soldiers. Because of this, the regiment is not particularly effective in trench warfare and prefer quick shock assaults. The regiment includes 2 distinct sections with different tasks. The Raiders are specialised in assaults on difficult grounds, like beaches, swamps, sabotage of supply lines, and long reconnaissance missions behind enemy lines, usually equipped with carapace armour, las carbines, and at least 1 long las per squad. The second and most peculiar section of the regiment is instead the heir of the old Command Underwater Raiders, the Venice Frogmen. These men and women, veteran volunteers of the Raiders section, are grouped in the Assault Unit Junio Tesei, or simply the Frogmen Unit, and have a direct but extremely dangerous task. Equipped with modified shuttles for stealth operations and armoured void suits, these new frogmen work in a similar way to their ancestors, but adapting their tasks of naval sabotage to the cold void of space. When their service is required, usually 3 to 4 squads are carried close to an enemy ship and exit into the void of space carrying a large nuclear or plasma warhead by hand, looking for blind spots in the ship's defences. They then attach these explosives to the hull and turn back to the shuttle as fast as possible before the ship notices their presence, before detonating the warhead. Their proficiency in low-gravity warfare and their recklessness in such dangerous situations made both rogue traders and the Inquisition, in particular the Ordo Xenos, take note of them, as they often find a use for them in special missions against targets such as space stations and enemy ships and satellites. This relationship allowed the regiment to obtain great quantities of advanced gear and vehicles for their missions, such as stealth shuttles, void suits similar by purpose to the ancient solar pattern void armour, chimera transports for the most vast field operations, and a huge number of nuclear and plasma weaponry. On Satyrian, the Raiders, and most of all the Frogmen, are considered true heroes of the planet thanks to the world's propaganda, which emphasises courage, fraternity with allied imperial forces, patriotism, and giving no quarter on the battlefield. In fact, the most famous motto of the Raiders, which synthesises all their war doctrine and their everyday lifestyle, is "In life, always dare."